Praise the Lord. My name is Esther Wambia. I love the Lord. I love Christ for saving me. I like talking about family, and family is a very important unit, as I've always said. It's good to understand that when you are in a family, there's a lot of expectations from people and from your family, from the society, and of course from God. There's so much that is expected of you. Sometimes we get there and we don't understand that there are so many people looking at us, and sometimes we even ignore that God is also looking at us. And that's the reason why families sometimes has, a lot of issues, because we do not regard the people that look at us. We don't even regard that God is also looking at us and that we are supposed to make it. It is not just about us. A family is not just about husband and wife. A family is about a society. A family is about a church. A family is about a nation. And that's the more reason why we should get there with a lot of caution and with a lot of thought. And that is the reason why today I want to discuss about the balance between roles, calls, careers, and family. We have to balance between calls, careers, roles, and a family. Sometimes we kind of negate our duties or our roles in the family, or we negate, or we are not able to balance between the calls, the roles, family, and and even careers. We've been called to do all these things. For example, when you are a father or a mother or a wife and a husband, and you have children, and you are a career person, you are supposed to go to work, you're supposed to, it's so much expected of you. Maybe you are a manager somewhere, you are a director somewhere, you are a principal somewhere, you are somebody who has a title, you are somebody who is expected to perform and to do so much outside there other than your family. And many times we negate our family duties, and we get so much, inclined to our careers, or we actually forget about our careers and incline towards our family. So probably many times, because in careers we are bound to be sacked, or we are bound to be demoted, we incline so much towards our career, and we forget that we are a family people. We are supposed to balance. We are supposed to understand that we are a family person, and that one of the things we are supposed to know is that if you are a father, those children do not have any other father other than you. So you're supposed to understand, as much as you incline towards your career, as much as you do your duties there, as much as you want to study and add knowledge, and also continue to acquire more knowledge and climb the ladder, you're also supposed to understand that you have our children to take care of. And so it's very important for it to settle at the back of our mind that I'm a father, and that I need to be with my family, I need to be with my children, I need to take care of my children's careers too. Sometimes you find that a father or a mother has gone to school, has gone to study, so that you can gain that promotions and climb the ladder, and your children are in school too, and sometimes we forget even to pay school fees for our children. Sometimes our children are sent home from school, and why are they being sent home? Because you have prioritized yourself other than your children. Sometimes you really wonder. You find that somebody who is already 60 years is in school, and the child who is around 20 or 15 years cannot be able to be paid for school fees. Why? Because my father is in school. Sometimes it's good to sit back and ask yourself, which career is more important? Is it your child's career or your career? Much as you want to climb the ladder, what are the priorities in your life? Who is bound to miss if the school fees is not paid? Is it you or your child? Because sometimes you find we have misplaced our priorities. I'm already working, I'm already being promoted, I'm already doing well, but I don't want to think about a child who has many years ahead of them. And for that reason, I'm not able to balance between my career and my family. And that one brings a lot of issues in our families. And we are not able even to be happy at the end of the day, because when my child does not go to school, when my child does not build her career or his career, sometimes that child becomes a problem in the home, because I cannot be able to take care of his his issues or his mahitajis when he needs those things. His needs become a problem to me because I did not take care of the career of my child. So sometimes it's very important to understand that I'm the only father or the only mother to this child. There is no any other parent somewhere else who will come and take care of this child's needs. So when I'm planning about how to get, to build on my career, I should also be looking at how are my children coming up? How is their career being taken care of? I should understand that because that is my duty and I must do it. Sometimes we have callings. Maybe I'm a pastor, like myself. My husband is a bishop, and there are many pastors outside there. There are many bishops outside there. When you think about the call that God has given you, because God has called you to be a minister of the gospel, and many times you find that you spend a lot of time with the people that that are tapping from you. You spend time with maybe going for pastors conference. You spend time going for maybe going out there to look for working with your organization, trying to balance things and to make sure that the church is growing. The members that are looking up to you are getting nourishment. You're able to look at them and all those things. How much do you balance between those people that are tapping from you and your immediate family, your children that are waiting to be ministered to? Your wife, sometimes we are out there proclaiming that souls are perishing, and we have to really run around and make sure that our children are doing well, or rather our churches are doing well and the members are being nourished and they're coming up so well, only to realize that our children have gotten lost right under our noses. You find that I'm a child of a pastor, but I'm not well nourished spiritually because my parents do not even give me the actual nourishment that I need from them as a child, because they are so busy with the members of the church and other people until you really you realize that children, pastors' children or a minister's children are not doing very well. Why? Because you are not able to balance between your call and your responsibility as a father, your responsibility as a mother. We must understand that besides being a pastor, besides being a minister there, besides being a career person, you have been given a direct responsibility by God, and that direct responsibility that has been given to you is a parenthood. You are a parent. Parenthood cannot be, you cannot be you can always probably share those other responsibilities with other people, but you cannot delegate parenthood. You can't. Only when maybe something, fate has it sometimes that we pass away before we bring up our children to a stature when they do not need us anymore. But when the children are still growing, you cannot delegate that responsibility to somebody else. Too bad sometimes we delegate that responsibility to maybe a house help or other house manager, and we are like, I have a house manager at home, and this house manager will take care of my children. Well, they do as much as they can. Probably they are able to do as much as they can, but they are still not the parents to these children. And so that's the reason why you find that some of these children are abused. Why? Because the person whom you have delegated the responsibility to do not have the love and the intimacy that the children need from you. So you find that it is very important for us to think about our responsibilities, our roles. I've been given a role by God to be a father, to be a mother, to take care of these children. How much time do I give to these children that I have? It is good to understand that you are a family person. It's good to understand you have a family, children to take care of, you have a husband to take care of, you have a wife to take care of. And some of those needs that we really have to take care of they are very normal and they are everyday activities. But many times those very activities we ignore, or rather we negate, are the ones that cause our families not to remain balanced as they grow up. And you find that as much as you put a lot of energy somewhere else, you find that there is a place where you have failed. You can imagine you are a very good manager and you're doing very well at your place of work. You are there and the company is doing very well. The company is just making a lot of profit. But back at home, you have failed. Your children are not doing well in school. Your children they have not been fathered. Your children are lacking fatherhood because you don't have time for them. And you discover that, and you are a very good Christian, by the way. Many times you are very good at, maybe in the church and all that, but when it comes to your family, you actually split your time between maybe your career and your church, and you don't have time for actually your direct responsibility. The fact that you are a manager in that company today, tomorrow if you're not there, somebody else will be a manager there. But the fact that you are a father here which you are failing to do, or a mother here which you are failing to do, believe you me, for the rest of the time these children will be on this earth, they will never have another parent. Even if you die today, you will still be the parent to these children. Any other person who will come to take care of them will be given another name, which is a guardian. So you are the only parent that these children have. You are the only mother that these children have. You are the only father that these children have. And you have a direct responsibility to take care of these children. You and you alone. So when you are dividing your time, or when you are committing your time from morning to evening, find time for your children. You are the only father, for example, to these children, and you are the only husband to these wives. Sometimes, we get so busy with our own responsibilities, with our careers. These are the days when even women are going back to school and they are doing a lot of, career upgrading, and you find a woman has gone back to do a second or a third degree, and you find that this person is operating between the office and the school. You're operating between the office and the school, and you always go to your house to sleep. Actually, you get back to your house very late, and when you get there to that house, you still have carried homework to do, or rather you still have some work to do. And when you go there, you sit there, you don't want your children to make noise to you. You don't even have, you tell your husband you're so busy. You don't have time for this husband. You don't have time for these children. And every time you are there, everybody else is nagging you. Everybody else is disturbing you. Why? Because you are working on your career. Believe you me, you must lose one. You are either going to lose your children, you are either going to lose your husband, you are actually even going maybe to lose your home. You are just going to remain with a house. A home is a place where it is warm. When you get there, you are happy with your children, you are happy with your husband. You actually, the only place that can be fulfilling, it is your home. When you get there, everybody loves you, everybody is, cherishes the time they have with you. Many are the times that people have lost their homes. They have remained with houses. You go back to this house, you are like, nobody cares whether you've come. Even the very children whom you thought they will come jumping all over, they have kept jumping on you, and you are like, you don't want to be disturbed. By the time you are done with that PhD, my friend, by the time they give you a title of a professor, you are all alone. You are just a lonely person. You don't have a wife, you don't have a husband, you don't have children. And there you are, you start wondering, And that is why you find that some of these people with big titles, they are very lonely people. They are people who they are not in the church, they are not in the family. They are just outside there with big titles without anybody. And that is why some of them, if they were to open up to you, they'll tell you that they are very lonely people. They don't have families to cherish. Because their children found other things to do with other people. Their wives or their husbands got other people to keep them busy. Why? Because what is expected of you by your family, it is not there. I want to tell you today, if there are some things that you should lose, not your family. You can lose any other thing, but not your family. Let me tell you, a time will come, the only people who will know you and think about you is your family. At the end there, you find that somebody who is by the name of a professor or the name of a doctor has gotten ill, has gotten sick and all that. And the only people that are called upon to take care of you are your family. Some of these people you really think they are your friends. Some of these people you really think that you hang out with. There's some of these people that you really think they have equal titles with yours, and that you want to associate with them and you want to go to kind of hang out with. My friend, a time comes the only people that cherishes you are your family members. The ones you feel that are disturbing you when you are climbing the ladder. My friend, I want to tell you today, you need your family as early as today. You need your family as early as yesterday. Because those are the only people that will stick closer to you at the time of need. There is a time that comes, everything else breaks away. Including even the career you have does no longer make sense to you. The only people that will cling closer, the only people that will say, this is my father, are those children that you no longer care about. Is that wife that you no longer care about? Is that husband that you feel that he's nagging you? You need to understand you have a family. Another thing you need to understand is that your family needs you for the roles that have been given to you. Maybe your wife needs a lot of tenderness. Your wife needs affection. Your wife needs tender touch. If you are a husband, you should always spare time for that tender touch to your wife. Make sure that your wife gets satisfied. Your wife feels that your presence, wacha wakufeel. Hata kama unakuwa professor kesho or a doctor tomorrow, let your wife feel you. Even if you're becoming a doctor or a professor tomorrow, let your husband feel you. Hata kama your husband has only the first degree, the fact that that is your only husband that you have, let that man feel you. It is not about education here. It's about an institution of marriage, husband and wife. And let me tell you, sometimes, we look at other things other than what God has given us. When we are getting married, for example, many times we don't get married because somebody has this or the other. Why? Because all those other things, you can work for them. The only thing that you can't work for is a husband or a wife. For example, if I go back to school today, I can be able to achieve. I'll still get another degree and another degree, and I have gotten other degrees and other degrees, even while in this institution. But I will not get another husband. There is a time frame within which I must get married and get a family. There is a time frame within which you must work for the family. There is a time to give birth. That is why in Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse, if you read chapter 1 from verse 3, inakwambia, there is time for everything. There is time to give birth. There is time to get married. There is time for, but sometimes we have misplaced the times. And we think that now if I pursue another degree when I'm 100, I'm around 70 years. Sometimes even some of those things we pursue, they do not add value in our lives. Because by the time you think you are done with that degree, you are on your way to the grave. Your time is up. And you have negated the people, the legacy, or rather the generation that you're supposed to live. It is good to work. Sometimes it's good to do things that are generational. More effectively and more seriously than the things that are just short term. There are some of these things that are short term. Actually, I like I'm a career person. I already have my second degree, but sometimes when I sit back with all that degrees that I have, with all that career that I have pursued, and with all that knowledge, the only thing that I look for and I look at and I'm excited are my children. I look at my children and I'm happy that, they are what they are today. And that God has enabled me to bring them to where they are. And I look at them and I find, and I cherish the time I gave them. I cherish the time, I took with them for them to grow. Some of these things are just generational but short term. Look at your children. Your children have, to be a child is a very short, you are a child for a very short time. But this short time, you need that care and tender touch from your family, or rather from your parents. If they don't give you that time, there might be no any other time for them to give you. And that is the reason why you find sometimes you have all those things that you have acquired. You have all those things that you have pursued, but you don't have children. Not that your children are dead. Your children are very much alive and kicking. But they don't even have time for you. You're also growing old, but when you need those children, they don't come. Why? Because you did not build a relationship between you and them. All that you did is to give them, give birth to them. Some of those children, you have actually paid school fees for them. You've taken them to the best schools. You have actually given them the best knowledge, but you don't have attachment to those children. Why? Because you thought by giving them to the best school, getting them to the best school, giving them the best university, paying them the school fees is enough. It is not enough. That's just a fraction of what you're supposed to give to your children. They need your time. They need you there. Some of these parents, and some of them, those ones who are, God has blessed them. Wamebarikiwa sana, they have money, they are able to employ a driver, they are able to employ, a house manager, they are able to, you have given your children to house managers and the drivers. Some of these children, they are even abused by your drivers because they don't have anybody to call, at the time of need. They don't have actually an attachment to their parents. Their parents, the only thing they hear from their parents is a phone call. Umefanya kazi leo, umeenda wapi leo, unafanya, all you can ask them is whether they want to go for swimming and all those things. You have no attachment to your children. My brother, my sister, let me tell you, a time will come. You will require these children. You will require them to give you a time, to give them their time. But they will not have time to give you because you never build that time for them. You never build this time with them. You always prioritize other things other than your children. A time comes when you need your husband. He cannot give you his time. Why? Because you're too busy. When he needed you, you're not there. You know, there are some of the responsibilities and the roles that we have to our husbands, which nobody else can give them. But because of maybe we've prioritized our careers, we have prioritized other things, and we've negated our duties and negated our roles. And that is the reason why you reach a point when you really need that husband of yours. He is not there for you. Why? Because you never gave him time for your time. You never gave him what he needed from you. You never actually realized that he needed realized that he needed to be, you needed to acknowledge his leadership. You know, a time comes when you need that husband whom you actually ignored. That husband whom you say does not understand things because you have gone maybe a step ahead of him. Maybe he has only 1 degree, you have 2 degrees, or you have 3 degrees, and you feel that, that man haelewi mambo, but he did not marry you because of education. He did not marry you because of the, maybe that big name that he owns in that place of work. He married you because he's a man, and that the Bible records a man shall live and a woman shall live, and they shall be united. And on that platform, he was able to marry you, and he's able to give you what a man gives to his wife. Sometimes we prioritize wrong things. We are supposed to balance between our roles, our careers, and our calls, so that we can be able to please God and please the people around us. Some of the things that we do, they fail us. We are supposed to understand that if you are a husband, the only person who is supposed to be your best friend is your wife. If you are a wife, the best person you're supposed to have as a friend is your husband. There are some things that you can feel secure when you discuss them with your spouse. Some of the people we think are our friends, and some of the people we think are the people we can discuss them. Some of the things we discuss our spouses with the people we think are our friends, and only to realize that these people love us for a certain reason. But the time when whatever it is that you're giving them is no longer there, you find that the only person who can receive you back is that spouse that you've been despising. Get a friend out of your spouse. Make sure that regardless of where I am, whether I climb all the ladders in this world, the best person I can confide in is my spouse, because that is the only person who will be there at the very time. Actually, at the very time maybe you are breathing your last. That is the very person the only person who can stand beside you. That is the only person whom you can tell, now I'm not able to even go to that job. Hata hiyo kazi siwezi kuifanya. That is the only person who can come in when you can no longer provide for yourself. Sometimes we are cheated by the things God give us. Some of these things Mungu anatupea zinatudanganya, tunafikiri ya kwamba tumefika. My friend, the journey is still there, and the journey is still long. And that is the reason why, however much you climb that ladder, remain humble to your spouse. Wacha watu wengine wajue you are a manager, wacha watu wengine wajue you are a big man there. But when you go back home, you are a husband and you are a wife. Let your children know you are a father. Wacha kupeleka hiyo madoido ya kazini nyumbani. Wacha kufikiria that your children will call you sir. Your children are supposed to call you my father. You're supposed to father them. You're supposed to show them direction. Your husband is supposed to show, you're supposed to feel this is my wife. Your wife is supposed to feel this is my husband. You're not the boss of anybody in that house. You are either husband, you are a father, you are a wife, you are a mother. That is the only thing that is expected of you. Many people have lost their families because they have forgotten. Or rather they have misplaced their priorities. They have not remembered that they are fathers. They have not remembered that they are wives. They have not remembered that they are husbands. And so for that reason, they have lost their families. By the time they realize this is the only unit that God had given me that can take me to the very end, it is already too late. I want to tell you today, don't forget that you have a family to take care of. Don't forget that you are a father, you are a mother. And don't forget that that is the institution, actually the only first and last institution for you in this world. The only institution that can take you to the very end. Remember, you have been employed wherever you are. It doesn't matter the title you have today. That title, the person who gave you the title can still take it away. And that is the reason why you are supposed to take up your title and not forget where you're coming from. Sometimes we forget when we get those big titles and we drive those big cars and we live in those big houses, and we forget that we have a family to take care of. And that is the reason why you find that some of these men and that some of these women, the point of interaction changes. Unaona, you have been a very good brother, you've been a very good sister, you are born again, you've been walking with God, and your family has been a priority, only for you to be promoted tomorrow. And you forget that you are even, whatever things you get associated with are no longer godly. The people you are associated with are no longer godly. The places you are found are no longer godly. The things you do are no longer godly. Why? Because you think that those titles will remain. Let me tell you, titles come and go. But there are some things that are permanent. And I'm telling you, a husband or a wife, children, they are permanent things. Those are things that you will cling to you until death. You are a father to those children until you're buried. You are a mother to those children until you're buried. You are a wife or a husband to this person until either you die or you choose to quit. And many times people quit only to regret why they quitted. Let me tell you, you can count on your family to the very end only if you plant in them, if you build in them, if you work on them. Do not forget you are a family person. There are some things that you need as a family person that nobody can give you. Some of these things that we feel we are getting from outside there. For example, if you are a wife, you need a support from your husband. Husbands are supposed to give their wives support, even as they do, this career development. As I do that career development, I'm supposed to do it together with my husband. Sometimes, we kind of, get out of the family setup when we are doing these things. Because why? Because we interact with the people who feel that, a family is unnecessary baggage. Kuna mtu atakwambia huko that husband of yours or that wife of yours is unnecessary baggage. When you go back to that school, or rather that place where you are studying, and you meet so many other people, you meet all sorts of people. Actually, when you go back to school, you meet all sorts of people. You meet people whose marriages have failed. You meet people who do not care about their children. And all these people, you kind of find yourself in the same discussion group. And some of the things that sometimes you tell them, I'm in a hurry, I need to go home and take care of my duties or my roles, I need to take care of my children, my husband, and they are like, what? Even at this time, you're still talking about a husband. Even at this time, you're still talking, and you really wonder. And sometimes you fall to the trap of the enemy by listening to them and start wondering why that man cannot go to the kitchen and cook, why that man cannot take care of the children, or why that woman cannot be the one taking the children to school and doing all those ABCDs that you have been doing. At the end of the school, maybe you are there for 2 years or 3 years. At the end of the school, where do you go back? You go back to that family you neglected. You go back to those people you did not want to see. And not only that, at the end of your very career, there is an age where you must retire. Whether you have whatever title they give you in this world, there is a time when you must retire. How many people do you read in your history that they were very great men? Even the presidents, they were there one time. Even whoever, the minister, the prime ministers, and all those people, the managers, the personnel managers, and all those. There have been careers and careers and careers and titles and titles and titles. But at the end of the day, all these titles end by somebody being told, your husband is coming back home, your wife is coming back home. Where do you go back home to? You go back to no home. Actually, you go back to a house which you build, and maybe even that house, watu walihama, watoto walikuwa wakaenda, they actually maybe walienda wakakuwa confused because they didn't have a father. The children, the wife maybe hata amezeekea hapo hata ama labda alikufa na stress kwa sababu ulimstress mpaka akakufa. Do you know? You start sitting back and asking yourself, all the money that I have, what is it all about? Sometimes you get sick. Some of these terminal illnesses that people get, and they are very old. They have neglected people, and you are like, you are there now. You need somebody to be with you there 24/7, and nobody is willing to sit with you there. Why? Because when they needed you most, you are not there for them. Let me tell you, my brother, my sister, think it over. You need your family as early as yesterday. Everything else may not actually get out. Zitaisha tu kama unaziona. You might not even die. You might see them get finished. You might, hata pesa zinaishanga, even titles get finished. But the person that is called your wife and your husband, as long as they're still living, they can stick closer than a brother. Those people are very, very important. And that is the reason why I'm talking about the unit of marriage. Very, very important. God bless you so much. We shall continue from there next time. You can subscribe in my YouTube. It is good to understand that we need each other. We need our roles. We need our careers, we need our calls, but we need to balance. We also need our families. God bless you so much. Amen. Amen. Amen.